right, hello everyone. Welcome to Facebook, to YouTube. I'm Power 5 Meteorologist Allan Nosoff here in the Weather Center, tracking a pretty nasty line of showers and storms that are making their way through the heart of Northeast Ohio right on time. We've been talking about the last couple of days, this timing speeding up a little bit right around midday, noontime, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Power 5 radar behind me is lit up. It is going a little bit crazy. One of the craziest radars, honestly, we've seen in a few months, just because we've barely had any sort of significant rain. And if you're seeing something crazy where you are, feel free to comment in the comment section. I'll be looking at those in a little bit as well. I just wanted to zoom straight in because we're seeing some pretty serious stuff. I'm going to zoom in into downtown Cleveland right now. A lot of people are heading, of course, to the Browns game. And my, oh my, look at this heavy rain that has just moved in the last 20 or so minutes right over the heart of the stadium. Stadium's right over here, and I'm going to pause the radar right there. This is what it looks like right now. You can see it literally right on top of Huntington Bank Field. This is heavy rain, probably the heaviest they've seen it there since the end of July. We're talking July 28th, the last time it rained this hard in downtown Cleveland. And that's going to continue, I think, for the next hour or so as this line kind of merges into one big line and then pushes east of 77. So that's what it looks like there in downtown Cleveland. Going to zoom it out just a little bit. There's a lot of other places as well that are dealing with some heavy rain. Pretty much right now on top of 136 too, heading down 176 into Brooklyn Heights and into Parma. Parma right now is probably seeing the heaviest rain of anyone in Northeast Ohio, whether you're on Ridge Road. And I know, sure, sometimes the road speed limits are 25 or 35. This is definitely a time where you're going to want to reflect that and watch carefully on the roads. There's going to be so much of this ponding that just sets up on the shoulders because the rain is coming down so quick and there hasn't been a lot of rain beforehand, and we're dealing with a drought as well. So that's what we're dealing with right now in Parma. Lots of that stuff is going on. So that's what we're dealing with in Parma. Let's see what else we're dealing with. Let me zoom out just a little bit over here. Again, time is a couple of minutes before noontime, and you can clearly see this line pretty much stretching from downtown Cleveland down 176. This is the line. It's not the strongest of lines. That's why we removed that severe weather threat. But this line is basically moving north and east. It's moving like this. So this will be moving into Independence in the next 20 minutes, into Maple and Shaker Heights in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes time. And then eventually Willoughby, Mayfield, Solon, that'll be towards the 1 o'clock hour. That's where some of that heavy stuff will be moving on in. So I'm going to clear that out for the moment. I also want to talk about wind because the wind has definitely been picking on up. So let's take a look a little bit here down toward areas that are seeing some of the heavier rain, even a little bit farther south toward Medina and Medina County, Lodi. Some of these green colors you see, the brighter they are, the more the wind is. And as you can see, the farther south you are, the windier it is. You're closer to the center of the storm. That gradient between the high pressure we had yesterday and the low pressure that's moving in now, you can really see that. So I'm going to do a query with you live right now, actually. I'm going to tap into a couple of these areas near Wooster. Yeah, this is a radar estimated wind speed of 50 miles per hour. That's why I was mentioning 40 to 50 miles per hour over the last several days, and so has Katie McGraw, Trent McGill. We've been talking about this for the last several days. We're seeing that near Shreve, 52 miles per hour. Going to go up a little bit towards Canaan, where it's 46 miles per hour. In Medina, 37. So that 40 to 50 mile an hour ballpark range of wind, we're seeing that happen. And if you're seeing it somewhere as well, let me know about that as well. So here we go. And one of our comments as well from John saying, stay safe, folks. Things look nasty out there. I mean, that's for sure. We're getting that ground truth. The radar is matching what people are seeing. And if you're seeing something where you are, let me know where you are, what you're seeing. It would help me out as well, matching the radar to what you're seeing out in wherever you are across Northeast Ohio. So let me hop back here to the graphics, because one other thing that's really cool to see, you could see where it's raining and where it's not raining yet by the temperature. So yeah, this is, I'm talking Ashtabula over here, still in the 70s, but it's now down to 57 in Fremont. It's down to 59 in Mansfield. It's gotten a whole lot colder because of the rain that has now moved in. And I expect that rain to pretty much continue over the next several hours. I'm keeping it 90% because not everyone is going to see that heavy rain or even just steady rain. There will be a couple of breaks for a few minutes at a time, but either way, The brunt of the storm is pretty much happening right now along the Cuyahoga River. That's going to continue, unfortunately, for the start of the Browns game. This is what the futurecast is going to look like in about a half an hour. I'm going to step out of the way. Look at this. Man, bullseye right on top of Huntington Bank Field, and watch the wind gust, 46 miles per hour in the next half an hour. So it's going to get wild before any sort of improvements start to happen. This is kickoff at 1 o'clock, and notice it's fast moving, so it's not going to be sitting in the same place the entire time. If it was, that would be flash flooding galore. And thank goodness we're avoiding that worst case scenario. Now, into the second half of the game, a little bit of a different story. Watch what happens between 1 o'clock and 2:30. We get these waves. It goes from steady rain to moderate rain, then a little bit down, a little bit up. So it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. But one thing's for certain, watch those winds. They're barely going down. They're still over 30 miles an hour. That's going to impact the kickers because it's a southwest wind. So it's kind of perpendicular to when so if the kickers are trying to kick this way, then the wind is this way. So the ball is going to careen a little bit there. So something to keep in mind if you're thinking fantasy football stuff for the game. Definitely running. Running is going to be run first with Quinshon Judkins out there for the game. And then into the evening, towards the second half, third, fourth quarter especially, the rain will subside. Futurecast doesn't even have anything. I think it'll be mist and drizzle. But when that mist and drizzle is with 30-mile-an-hour winds pelting that mist at your face, it's almost like it's going to hurt out there. So hopefully you have a little protection with the hats and the caps on top of the ponchos if you're going out there or have any sort of outdoor parties, although honestly, this is an indoors kind of day for sure. So that's what it looks like with the Browns Futurecast. How about the rest of the area? Because there's the line. Watch the line move quick. I'm going to get out of the way here. And this is at around 2:30 in the afternoon, right over here toward the Youngstown area. So you can see how far east it can move in just the matter of 2 hours. It goes from 77 to almost the Pennsylvania state line in a couple of hours. That's the main hurrah with this storm. It's that line that has the strongest wind and the heaviest rain. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods once that's over, because look at all of these pockets of yellow and orange and even sometimes red. It's on again, off again rain that could sometimes be heavy, cause issues on the roads. Definitely windshield wipers might not help out all too much whenever it's the heaviest of the rain. And the wind will still be with us. I'll show you that wind forecast in a moment, but definitely going to be a raw, dreary, rainy rest of our Sunday. An indoors one for sure. The wind right now, where the heaviest rain is falling near Ashland, that's about 45 miles an hour right now. It's definitely windy, and that's pushing into downtown Cleveland in the next half hour with that heavy burst of rain I just showed over the stadium. By 1 o'clock, look at how much farther east it swings with that heavy rain, because this is fast. The wind subsides this evening around 5 or 6 to 25, 30 miles an hour. So a little bit of a reprieve, but still blustery. That will continue all the way into tonight and tomorrow morning. In fact, the wraparound moisture with that rain I showed you on Futurecast will still bring 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts. It will be blustery. It will be windy. Tomorrow morning's commute is going to be cold, to say the least. Jackets needed. Hold on to your hats kind of morning. Gusts will be about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So not as bad as what we're seeing now, but it's still very noticeable. And when that northwest wind, that's going to be a cold wind off the lake, it'll also bring the midges in again, big time. You're going to notice them over the next couple of days. They're going to be out there swarming with that northwest wind. As for how much rain, look at the numbers continuing to go up as we head all the way to the end of the work week. We get this first big hurrah with the line of storms and then rain through about early Monday morning. Then there's another storm moving in from Canada that brings even colder air. It's an upper level low. Those usually during the winter give us a few inches of snow. In this case, they can give us an additional half an inch to an inch of rain spaced out over several days. So it's just gloomy, dreary. Almost think Seattle weather is going to be our weather forecast for the rest of the work week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on again, off again showers, adding to these totals. So along the lakefront, we could easily get over 2 inches of rain because there will be lake effect rain on top of that upper level low. So we got the 100% chance of rain today. Tomorrow is the morning leftovers, 30%. Tomorrow afternoon, we will see a little bit of sunshine. Enjoy it, because we won't see it Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. It's gloomy, it's cloudy, it's foggy, it's dreary. It's just bleh weather for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Improving Friday and into next weekend. So at least a little bit of good news for that. Let's get back over to radar, and I also want to check out a couple of comments if you have anything here. Kim saying, let's see, hold on. There we go. Kim in Wooster saying, it's a little crazy driving. Stay safe, everyone. I recommend when you're in that nasty line of storms, let me actually pull it back up here, what you're going to see. Wherever you are, let's say in Lodi, Seville, right along 76 and 71, there's that line of those strong downpours. And luckily, no lightning. We avoided the worst case as well, because what time is it now? It is 12:06 p.m. If this happened at 3:06, that would be 3 additional hours of daytime heating, basically the sun fueling these storms. Imagine if this happened 3 hours later, we could even be talking about tornado potential. Instead, the tornado potential is for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York City later on this evening and tonight. So we avoided worst case. That's great news, at least thinking on the bright side with this setup that we have right now. So Kim, thank you so much for letting us know about that. And then we also have Mike here saying, keep up the great work. Appreciate that, Mike. And yeah, from Champaign there. Appreciate that. And then Sean commented on Facebook, typical fall weather in Cleveland. I mean, listen, we've been very lucky so far with how dry it's been. Not so lucky for the lawns, of course. We need the rain, but the way it's aggressively coming down along that line of showers and storms, that is definitely on the tricky, treacherous side. So that's what it looks like there. If you want to let me know what you're seeing where you are, that would be really appreciated in the comments down below, because this line has only intensified over the last couple of hours. Let me zoom back out and show you a little bit of a wider view across all of Northeast Ohio, because the farther south you go, the stronger that storm looks to be. Here's the last hour, and watch it almost congregating in one big line. Notice about an hour ago, it's kind of discombobulated and it's merging into one line. That's because the daytime heating, the sun is fueling the storms, getting their energy concentrated on the cold front itself, and that's the cold front. So you're going to notice the wind change. It goes from warm and humid and Florida-like to winter-like with the wind that's going to be coming in off the water. So the wind in Norwalk and Sandusky is more west right now. It's coming in from the colder side of the storm. But ahead of this line, in areas like Atwater and Warren, Youngstown, all of this is south. That's been bringing in the warmth and the moisture over the last couple of days. That's why yesterday was 80 degrees. Yeah, we called it first, by the way, here with the Power 5 team going 80 degrees for yesterday, and that's exactly what happened. So that's what the radar is looking like right now. I'm going to pause the radar and zoom back in, because it looks like the strongest of the rain is falling just to the west of Wooster. You see this line right here? This is right now on top of US 30, and it's moving northeast. So what we're seeing right now approaching Springville in the next 5 minutes will reach Wooster in about 10 minutes. So it's 12:10 right now. By 12:20 in Wooster, you're going to notice it go from this light rain, kind of calm, almost peaceful in a way, with that wind and rain. It's going to be kind of bad out there in Wooster in the next 10 or 15 minutes with this line that will be moving in. Again, I'm going to try to draw it out for you. So basically what we're seeing here, this right here, right on top of 30 is going to be moving this way, and it's moving at a decent clip. So it's not going to last for an entire hour, but it'll last a solid 30, 45 minutes, and that will produce problems on the roads. So that's what we're dealing with right there. I'm going to turn on the wind as well. I think this is a pretty important thing as well. You see this bright green color over Wooster? That's some pretty serious wind. Let's take a little bit of a closer look actually at some of that wind. And if you're seeing the wind in Wooster, in Holmesville, in Shreve, let me know, because the radar is estimating 50-mile-an-hour winds right now. Might be a little bit overdone. 50 miles per hour near Holmesville as well. Near Berlin, 50 miles an hour as well. In downtown Worcester, 50. In Canaan, it's about 30. So as you can see, the action is really concentrated, I think, with the wind to the south. That's what it looks like there right now. Sean mentioning not much in Lakewood at the moment. So let's actually head on over to Lakewood, because there's a chance that most of that line has actually cleared you. Let's take a closer look out toward Lakewood right now. What we're seeing here. Yeah, the line has already cleared you. Look at how fast that moved. Downtown Cleveland is getting absolutely drenched right now. This is some torrential rain right now in downtown Cleveland, moving through to Huff. moving up 90 and Route 2 all the way through to Manhattan Beach. But in Edgewater, things are clearing out. So if you're taking Detroit or the Shoreway into Lakewood, look at how much less there is in terms of rain. If I were to back this up an hour, you kind of actually missed out, because what happened about 20 minutes ago, we had a heavy burst off to the west. We had the heavy burst off to the east. The two combined and kind of skipped over Lakewood. So a little bit of a good news situation in this case with this squall line that we're getting. Rocky River and Lakewood definitely missing out on the heavy rain. So you're more or less done with the heaviest, but there will be on again, off again showers that will be heavy at times later this afternoon. I'd say after 5 p.m., 6, 7, 8 p.m., that's when I think you have a higher chance of seeing more heavy rain from time to time. Let's zoom back in, though, into downtown Cleveland, because this is kind of gnarly right now, actually. This is the heaviest rain I've seen over downtown Cleveland in a while. Let me go back to right now. Let me try to query this. So 47 dBz, that's a little scientific number, but whenever this number is more than 40, that's a big indication that this rain is coming down in buckets. A little bit south of Huff Avenue, it's about 40 dBz. So basically what that means, it's getting up there in intensity quick. Let's loop this radar over the last hour. Watch how we went from nothing to everything in Cleveland. Literally, I mentioned it on Good Morning Cleveland if you didn't tune in. Watch how this goes from 0 to 100 just like that. That's what this storm is doing over the last 20, 30 minutes. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing is because the storms are combining together, these different lines are combining into one line. What's happening is that they're kind of slowing down. They're rotating around each other. And unfortunately, that's happening over a pretty populated area. That's happening over the stadium. It's going to be rough for another 20 minutes, I would say. And then you can see the clear improvement out toward North Olmsted, toward the airport, toward Brook Park and Lakewood. Much lighter rain there. That's what it looks like there. How about the wind? Let me actually take a look at the wind here real quick as well. It's big. Let me do a quick estimate here with, 40 miles an hour, 41 miles an hour, 48 just west of Euclid. So it's very windy. We're seeing that wind advisory criteria really verifying with this storm. I'm going to try to pull up a couple of cameras as well. So bear with me 1 second while I do this. Let me try to get the downtown camera here going. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. That's the live look right now. And you can see it's pouring. And the cars on the Shoreway, they're going slow. They're definitely not going 50 miles an hour. I can tell you that much. That looks more like a 40-mile-an-hour clip. So kudos to the drivers taking it slow. I know there's lots of ponding when you get down to the East 9th exit. When you go under East 9th, there's water that loves to collect there. We're likely seeing that happening in real time. I would advise probably not driving there right now. Let's see. We got Carol mentioning here as well that it's pouring now, but she is home from church, safe and dry. We love to hear that you're safe. That's great to hear. Hopefully you got in just before the heaviest of the rain moved into wherever you are. Feel free to comment where you are, so that helps me out figure out where some of that heavy rain is going on. But it's pouring over downtown right now, and you can see those slower cars there as well. I'm going to try to see a couple of other angles here as well. Let's take a look at the silo cam. What does the silo cam look like? Ooh, it can't even focus because of how heavy that rain is. Usually we see these buildings are nice and clear. You can't even make out the CSU on the building. So you know it's really coming down there across downtown. And then the camera looking out to the Muni lot, it's shaking. There's wind for sure with this rain. This is one of our high resolution cameras. That's why it's able to zoom in so much and it looks a little blurry. But good news is, at least here, it looks like the rain is starting to let up a little bit. We love to see that just in time for the game, which will start in about 45 minutes. Hopefully you had a chance to watch Browns Countdown. John and crew did a great job there, kind of breaking down the game with that. Otherwise, yeah, it's definitely coming down across downtown Cleveland. Going to see if I can try to pull up Akron as well while I'm at it to see how Akron looks like right now. Let's see. Here we go. Akron. How's Akron looking? It's raining there as well. But it looks like the worst right now is just missing Akron. It's definitely coming down. Not a lot of people outside. Roads are slick. Roads are wet. We've been through it before. Just make sure you use proper precautions. You'll be fine for now. But Where it's heavier, I'd recommend waiting it out, waiting for that line of drenching downpours to move to the east. Let's get back to radar right now. Let's take a closer look at where the rain has moved since. Here we go with the radar. And yeah, you could see it's now definitely pushing to the east. Looks like for the stadium for kickoff, there will be decent rain, but not heavy rain. So that's great. I mentioned around noon is when the worst would hit. That's exactly what happened, and now it's pushing to the east. So Huff over to University Heights, Euclid Heights, you're about to get hit with that heavy rain in the next 5 or so minutes. Up to Glenville, and if you're taking 90 up to the east, it's not a great drive right now. I could actually probably turn on traffic in a little bit to see if there's any slowdowns there as well, but it's definitely coming down there. And really, it's down Route 21 as well through Independence and Brecksville. We're seeing that line really starting to take shape. The farther south you go past Richfield, into Copley, into Wadsworth, there's the line. But notice, it's also a little bit kind of discombobulated. What that means, it's not one clear line. You can see one line over here fighting this line that's trying to form over here. So it's a little crooked. It's not perfectly lined up. That's great because we avoid the worst case scenario, because if that was one line, that would be really big problems. That'd be severe weather. That would be potential for tornadoes, which luckily we do not have that potential today. Maybe a waterspout on the lake, but other than that, this is really about the rain and the wind. Those are the two big things there. I got a comment here from Christy saying it's really nice in Palm Springs. I'm assuming Palm Springs, California. I wish I was with you there because the weather there is definitely cooperating. It's almost the antithesis of what we're seeing here across Northeast Ohio. So there we go. That's what it looks like there. James has a question from YouTube. He's asking, what is for Canton, Ohio tomorrow morning? Let's take a look at that futurecast because I do have improvements on the way. So here we go with futurecast. Let's time it out. There's the line as it pushes through. By 3 o'clock, everyone in Northeast Ohio is done with the brunt of the storm. It's a quick one, I'm telling you. It's 20, 30 minutes. It's in and it's out. Once it's out, we're still going to deal with on and off rain because watch this on futurecast. It's in, it's out. Pockets of heavy rain, windswept rain at that. That will continue all through the night. It's not all night long, obviously, but it's definitely an inconvenience to any sort of travel. So just be extra mindful. Watch the Power 5 radar on the News 5 app. Tune in later this evening, as well as Phil will have an update at 6 and at 11 with where exactly some of the heaviest rain is falling. And my suspicion is it's actually going to be Canton Point South. Now, tomorrow morning, this is right in time for the morning commute. You see this little strip right here of some of that rain? That's lake effect rain on the backside of the storm because it's so windy and it's pulling down this colder air. There will be a little bit of lake effect rain tomorrow morning. This is not heavy. This is not crazy. The morning commute, you'll notice the wind for sure. If you're along the lakefront, you'll notice the midges. This wind will bring tons of midges back here across the lakefront areas, including in Cleveland tomorrow. You're going to want to watch out for that. Rain-wise, very little. And by the afternoon, the rain is over. We'll actually see some sunshine in Canton by about 11 a.m., I'd say, tomorrow morning. So definitely improvements there. So here we go. That's what it looks like here for Futurecast tonight and tomorrow morning. But again, the big focus is that line of storms that we're dealing with right now. Let's head back to radar. And yeah, we're seeing it through Medina County. We're seeing it down to Canaan. We're seeing it in Armstrong. And Worcester's about to have it in about 5 to 10 minutes. This is some pretty heavy rain wherever you see that red color. And that's going to be moving literally along Route 30. That's literally along Lincoln Way. That's moving into that merge with US 250 as well. And that's going to continue pushing east over the next 5 or 10 minutes. So that's what it looks like there on radar. This is going to continue to push east of the 77 corridor over the next couple of hours. So for us in Canton and Akron, about 30 minutes to an hour away before that line reaches you. The wind, you're already feeling it, and the wind will actually pick up a little bit more over the next hour. Let's take a look at some of the radar estimated winds, in fact. Wherever you see this brighter color near Wooster and Brewster, that's wind. That's about 50 miles an hour. I'm querying these actually right now. Near Barberton, it's about 38 miles an hour. Near Akron, 36. But it will pick up to about 41, 45 miles an hour, 51 near Berlin. So it's definitely howling out there. You're going to hear it for sure. Definitely recommend closing the windows or at least leaving just only a little tiny sliver because that wind will be fierce. So that's what it's going. I see a couple of comments here. One from Parker. Let's see. Parker's saying that he's seeing heavy rain, and it's amazing. I mean, some people love the rain. I know, for example, with the dog walking forecast, I know a couple of the pups, some of the emails we've gotten, and we've gotten tons of emails, by the way. So we really appreciate that. One of the emails mentioned that they love the rain. They love to walk the dogs during the rain. I'd say not during that line, that strong line I was showing you, but afterwards when it's that lighter rain, hey, why not? But just do it safely. Watch out for the ponding and all the puddles out there. Lots of puddles to be had. And I know for a lot of the kids as well who love to jump in the puddles, as long as you got the rain boots, it's going to be pretty nice later tonight and tomorrow morning when the rain really lets up. So that's what it looks like there. So Parker, let me know where you are as well, where you're seeing that heavy rain. That'd be awesome to know. Let's go back to the radar right now. And what we're seeing here, let me clear this on out. We're luckily, again, I'm not seeing anything severe. One of the things that I would look out for if something is severe is if a line does something known as bowing. When you bow, basically, instead of it being a straight line, it would almost curve, like it would look like a curve, almost like a backwards letter C. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a straight line, pretty much. That straight line means that I'm not expecting anything severe. It's just wind going in one direction and a lot of rain. We've dealt with worse, of course, but this is something that's a little bit of a shock to the system because it's been so beautiful as a stretch overall. Yesterday was 80 degrees. We're several inches behind where we should be with rain. It's been very dry, and that's going to continue. So Solon up to Hudson and Twinsburg, you got about 10, 15 minutes before this heavy rain is about to move in. It's right on top of 271, in fact, in Broadview. That's going to push into the merge with 80 over the next couple of minutes, and that's going to continue to push east toward Highland Springs, towards Moran, Twinsburg, and Aurora in about the next 10, 15 minutes. So keep that in mind. That 271 corridor is going to become very tricky, very tough. I'm going to see definitely lots of these lights, the flashing lights going on, and definitely a lot of people kind of pulling over to the side of the road. That's how heavy this rain has been for some of us. But again, it's quick. For our friends in Parma, when I started this live stream, it was absolutely pouring buckets. And now Ridge Road looks like it's barely raining. I mentioned it's 20, 30 minutes, and that's exactly what happened. It's clearing out nicely in Parma. Still windy, of course, but it's not as heavy of rain that we dealt with just even 20 minutes ago. So that's what it's looking like there. We talked about Lakewood earlier as well, kind of missing out on the brunt. So at least a little good news there. But notice already a couple of these red blobs are showing up like near fields. That's going to move into Olmsted Falls here in the next 10 minutes. There's that backside, just these random blobs of heavy rain that will be maturing and moving in over the next several hours. So we're nowhere near the finish of this storm. We're finishing off the worst part of the storm in areas like Oberlin and Illyria, Huron, Norwalk. It's much lighter, but there will be some times where the rain will still continue to pick up. Case in point, I'm actually going to change radars here just to show you. We're right now using the Cleveland radar. If we go to Detroit, up toward Michigan, we're seeing some of these pockets starting to develop. You can see kind of these blobs where the rain is picking up. Let's go to another radar. Let's go a little bit down to the south. And again, same idea, down toward Dayton and Cincinnati. All of this has to still make it through Northeast Ohio. So Cincy area is also getting more heavy rain. That eventually is going to find its way into Northeast Ohio, let's say towards the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour later this evening. So while the worst is over for sure in an area like Mansfield over to Ashland, I'd still say you still need the umbrellas. You still need to use caution. Roads are definitely going to be slick, wet, lots of ponding on the area roadways, something that we have not seen a lot of this fall. Even though we get this usually every fall, it's our first big kind of storm like this in a while. So kind of just important to get back into that mindset. I know a lot of us kind of like, wait, what is rain, right? You know, that's a little bit kind of where we're at right now with this storm. So there we go. James saying thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in and listening to our forecast as well. So you can clearly see that line. I'm going to step back again. There's the line, just like advertised, literally paralleling 77 and about to push into the 77 corridor in the next half an hour. That's what it looks like there. Real quick look, I'm going to try to pull up the winds as well. A couple of the winds here. So bear with me one moment while I pull that up. I'm going to pull that in right now, and we should be able to see what we're dealing with right now. A little bit better Some of the gusts behind, you can see it's gone down a lot. We saw near 50 miles per hour near Norwalk. Now we're in just the teens. Big improvement there. But this is only a little bit of a lull because that rain I showed you near Cincy has those winds that are 40 miles an hour. So it will still be breezy the rest of this afternoon. It's just that 20, 30-minute chunk where that rain comes down and the wind is super heavy. That's something to be really, really cautious about. That's what it looks like there. One last check real quick for the Browns futurecast, because what we got is that heavy rain that's now pushing out because we're now about 12:30. So by 1 o'clock, kickoff, steady rain, not terrible, but look at the wind, still howling. So that's not going to be very helpful for the kicking game, for the passing game as well, because I know Tua loves to pass. Dylan Gabriel, I mean, what, first lefty-lefty quarterback matchup since 2006, I believe. So it's been a while since we've seen that in the NFL, which is pretty cool to see. But I do have better news for the Browns game, honestly. It's going to be more like mist and drizzle most of the game once we get past the first quarter. Unfortunately, with the wind that could be gusting at times, 30, 35, it's going to pelt your face and be kind of uncomfortable. As long as you're prepared with a hat and the ponchos, you'll be fine, and hopefully also bundled up because the temperature is going down. It was 72 last hour. We're going to be 61 by the end of the game, if not colder, and it'll feel colder because of the wind. So that's what it looks like there. Across the rest of the area, that line by 2:30 is now mostly out of Northeast Ohio. It's pushing into Ashtabula County, 2-3 o'clock time frame. That's when I expect that rain really to finally leave Northeast Ohio with the first line. Then the backside. This almost feels like a wintertime setup. We usually talk about the backside of a storm during the winter when that cold air funnels down. Cold air is funneling down. We go from 70 to 54 in Ashland by 8 o'clock, 55 in Wooster. And we say 40s by tomorrow morning for a lot of us. Down to 43 in Ashland, 47 in Akron, 50 in downtown Cleveland. You'll notice that chill in the air. You'll notice the midges as well. We have an article up on News 5 as well about that. So definitely looking like something crazy there. Speaking of crazy, I was mentioning there are going to be traffic incidents. We just got one. If you have the News 5 app, you would have already seen it. It's right along I-90 East, beyond Warren and Bunce Road. We got the left lane blocked because of a crash. People not necessarily taking the right precautions. Maybe some of those puddles, ponding, kind of getting a little serious. Hydroplaning is definitely a concern with those. So let me try to see if I can pull up traffic here. Bear with me. This will take about a minute. So don't be alarmed if you see something a little crazy there on the screen. It'll take a minute for it to load, so just bear with me for that. So we're going to zoom on out. We're going to try to go on 90, and there it is. There we go. So there is the accident right toward Bunce Road, and we're going to see that backup probably continuing for a couple of miles until they clear that out. Let me just double click here just to make sure. Yeah, so we got one lane knocked out there. Not quite sure if I can see the cameras. I know Phil is in the back there. He might be trying to pull one of them up. So yeah, we're tag teaming here, and you're going to see Phil more on News 5 later on this afternoon and evening. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Otherwise, roads generally look okay. I'm seeing a little bit of yellow from time to time, but nothing too crazy. So that's really a relief to see. But either way, though, definitely weather playing a part in this accident with that right lane blocked. And I know there's construction in the area too. So we're getting ponding in areas that don't usually see it. So there we go. Question from YouTube mentioning, where's the cold front currently located? Let me show you with the radar right now, actually. And it's well defined, a lot better defined than what it was just a few hours ago. And to show you, I'm going to rewind this for 3 hours. Watch this. There's the front. It kind of weakens one area, 2, 3. And then watch as they combine together into that one line. That's the cold front. Where you're seeing that line, that's the front. So it's pushed through Mansfield already. You're done with the main part of the storm. You're not going to see anything too crazy there. It's about to push into the 77 corridor. So Akron and Canton in the next 20, 30 minutes. Be on guard for that heavy rain to be moving on in. So that's the cold front. And that's the beauty of Power 5 radar, to be able to see that kind of thing in real time. And you're only going to see it here as well, live on Facebook, on YouTube, and Phil later on this afternoon as well on air. Jamie commenting here as well. It's raining like cats and dogs in Lorraine. Literally, I said that this morning, like it's going to feel that way, almost kind of like raining sideways, you know, that Family Guy meme. But yeah, even in Lorraine, I mean, it doesn't look all that crazy on radar. Let me pause this actually and zoom in a little bit toward Lorraine. It definitely rained like cats and dogs about an hour ago. I'd call this steady rain at the moment, But you can see a couple of these yellow blobs, like literally, you can see right here, just to the east of Fulton Road, one of those downpours is trying to pop up. So it's going to be on and off. It's not an all day, like it's going to be pouring all day. If that was the case, that would be something way more significant, way more serious. So definitely avoiding that. But yeah, over to Sheffield, South Lorraine. Again, toward Whiskeyville, we're seeing a couple of these dots. So literally along Route 2, once it splits off 90, we're seeing that pretty much just north of Delafield Road. Not currently impacting more than a couple of homes, but these are fast movers. These are a couple of minutes of just this like downpour like cats and dogs, and then it's back to mist and drizzle. That's what it looks like for the next few hours, honestly. So another one of those literally popping up here near North Olmsted, not too far from the airport. It's literally moving to the airport right now, so wouldn't be surprised if there's a ground stop there. Literally over Mackenzie Road, Stearns Road, Cook Road, we're seeing that very heavy rain, and that's the airport right there. That's where the radar is. That's why you don't see anything. That's because the radar is literally right there. It can't literally look at itself in the mirror. That's why it always shoots the radar beams out. And we got more of that steady rain. Lakewood, hey, you're getting in on one of these bands after the line. So Lorraine Road definitely seeing some heavier rain, definitely some ponding. People taking it probably nice and slow out there. And into Brooklyn, down toward Parma, seeing it fill back in a little bit. But I mentioned earlier, down toward Shaker Heights, University Heights. My goodness, wow. This is some torrential rain on Judson Drive right now and Harvard Avenue East as well, in areas not far from State Route 8. And that's going to move into Beechwood. This little area right here, this is some torrential rain right here. And this is moving right toward 422 in the next couple of minutes. So something to keep in mind. So this line means business. Everything's verifying with the forecast if you've been tuning in the last few days, almost to a T here. So that's where that is. So yeah, everything verifying. Any other comments, feel free to let me know right now, as I'm going to be wrapping up here, and this will be available as well on Facebook to rewind and watch. And any other questions you may have, feel free to message me on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm at Allan Weather TV on Facebook. Feel free to message our Power 5 team as well on the News 5 Cleveland Facebook page with any sort of other questions there as well. So that's what it looks like there. And Jamie also mentioning Go Browns. Yes, kickoff is in 27 minutes. And I mean, defense will reign supreme in a muddy kind of rain-filled wind fest that we're expecting out toward the field today. So yeah, and a couple more comments I see here from YouTube. Of course, yeah, listen, one of the beauties of doing these live streams is kind of getting into that forecast, getting inside the inside baseball with weather that you're not really able to do on TV. And this is one of the great opportunities that's really awesome here with the Power 5 team. So we're going to be doing tons of these heading into the winter, assuming there are bigger storms, you know, the S word, you know what I'm talking about, snow. That will definitely be a thing of contention as we head into winter season. So that's what it looks like there. One real quick look at wind as well. Where we see the brighter red or the brighter green, that's where the wind is higher. And Akron is about to get hit with some of that high wind. Dalton, Orville, Apple Creek is dealing with the highest wind right now. That's going to move into Massillon in just 10 or so minutes. Let's go one more time with you here, right on Route 30, now east of Wooster, 48 miles an hour approaching Dalton. Toward Massillon, it's going to be 42 miles an hour. It'll be near 50 in the next few minutes. Urban Hill, 42 miles an hour. Orville, 48. So it's windy. Brewster, we're looking at 44. So definitely very, very windy there. So yeah, that's what it looks like there. We got a couple more questions that I'm going to try to get through as well. So let's do this in just a moment. Let me just see if there's a couple other things that I'm trying to look out toward. So we got a couple of questions here as well. So we got one question here from YouTube. When will the worst of this come through Southington in Trumbull County? All right, let's take a closer look at that. Let's go back to the radar. Let's clear this out. And I'd say you probably have another half an hour to an hour or so. Let me zoom back in here. Yeah, I would say you probably have about 10, 15 minutes till light rain. And then the light rain goes 0 to 100 very quick with that line. That'll approach in the next 45 minutes, I'd say. About 45 sounds about right. If I'm trying to do a little bit of a tool here, let's see how I'm going to try this out here for the first time, so bear with me. This is moving at a decent clip, so let's try this out. I'm going to go like this. You know, yeah, about 45 minutes because it'll be in man away by 12:55. So do the quick math. That's 20 minutes. Yeah, I'd say about 45 minutes. That's when the heavier rain will start to move in there. So that's what it looks like there. How much rain for Barberton? Honestly, at the end of the day, with this first storm, so this quick line of rain, then all of this on again, off again rain through tonight and tomorrow morning, about 1 inch of rain. We need more like 5 or 6 inches to end the drought completely, but 1 inch in the bucket, that's already a big sign. And I think we can add another half an inch, maybe even 3/4 of an inch, all the way through Thursday, as there will be on and off rain showers Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not a huge deal. We've been used to that. Think Seattle, honestly, with this kind of gloomy pattern. That's what we're dealing with midweek. That will get to about 1.5 inches. So we got a couple other comments here as well. Bethany mentioning be safe, y'all, heading to us in PA this afternoon. Yes, Pennsylvania has a tornado risk, in fact. It's about a 2% chance, so it's a low chance, but it's not zero. And we've seen tornadoes happen in a 2% chance before, so just be extra careful and follow those updates and on the weather radio as well for that. So there we go. That's what it looks like there. Let's do one last check of the radar across the entire area, and let's loop it for the last hour or so. There's our cold front. There it is, right on time, and it's pushing to the east. We're seeing that happen now, and it's going to produce some heavy windswept rain over the next hour, hour and a half across areas east of the Cuyahoga. So west side is the best side right now because it's lighter rain in general, but we'll still see on and off showers continuing all the way through tonight and about 5 or 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So there we go. Hopefully everyone had a little bit of a better idea of what to expect for the rest of this afternoon. And if you're watching this live stream after, feel free to comment as well or message me on Instagram, on Facebook. I'll try to answer a couple of those questions there. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, everyone. That line of storms definitely means business with the rain and the wind. Improvements tomorrow and a little more rain midweek next week. Phil Sakel will have an update later this evening, so you want to tune in for that. In the meantime, go Browns. I'll see y'all later.